Hello everybody, welcome back to the Metamagics channel. It is now day 2 of Mythic Odysseys of Theros release, or maybe it's day 3, I've lost track. But anyways, in the last video I talked about the new magic items introduced in Mythic Odysseys of Theros, and previously I discussed the new races and subclasses. I will link the playlist up here. But in this video, I will be covering the new supernatural gifts introduced in Mythic Odysseys of Theros. And I know I said I was going to be covering the artifacts, basically the part 2 of the magic items, but along with the artifacts introduces the new Piety System, and that is going to likely need a much longer video to accurately convey to you guys exactly what that is about, so I'm going to save that for a later date, and we're going to instead cover these supernatural gifts that you get at the start of your character creation. So let's jump right into it. Now, in case you guys do not own or did not see my video talking about the new races introduced in the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, there was a new race slash supernatural gift known as the Hollowed One that was available in that book that basically is going to function the exact same way as these supernatural gifts listed here. So if you did not see this video, go check that out. I will link it up here. But anyways, let's look at these new supernatural gifts. And just like the rest of this Theros series, this is only my first impressions, having not read this material yet. And right here, there is a first pre-note with the heroic feats option. You can use the chapter 6 PHB section for using feats, and your DM might allow you to take one of these feats listed here as your supernatural gift should you not take one of these other ones listed below. But for example, we have the actor, alert, athlete, durable, keen mind, linguist, lucky, mobile, observant, resilient, skilled, and tough. So a lot of really nice feats here should your DM allow you to take this, which also technically concerns the rest of these, as this is an optional rule that your DM can choose to give or not give you at the start of the campaign. So let's look at the first new supernatural gift, Anvil Rot. You were forged in the fires of Perforos' forge. Your appearance bears a metallic sheen and visible joints. The Anvil Rot characteristics can tell you basically how you came to be. And additionally, you gain constructed resilience. You were created to have remarkable fortitude and gain advantage on saving throws against being poisoned and have resistance to poison damage. You do not need to eat, drink, or breathe. You are immune to disease, and you do not need to sleep, and magic cannot put you to sleep. So basically, this gives you the features of the Warforged, and you gain Sentry's Rest, which is the same thing as the Warforged. When you take a long rest, you must spend at least 6 hours in an inactive, motionless state rather than sleeping. In this state, you appear inert, but it does not render you unconscious, and you can see in here, so you can essentially be the only person who takes watch over the course of a long rest to give your companions a well-deserved rest that they need. This is the table where you can decide or roll for how you were exactly created. Next, for these supernatural abilities, we have Heroic Destiny. Great deeds lie in your future, and it will take extraordinary effort to kill you before you accomplish those deeds. Choose a roll on the table here for how you were made, and you gain these abilities. Defy Death. You have advantage on death saving throws, and you also have Hard to Kill. When you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead, and you get this once per long rest. So once per rest, not dying outright, and then if you are in danger of dying outright, you pretty much probably won't because you got advantage. So very, very powerful destiny overall. Next up, we have the Iconoclast. There's some lore bits here, but this one gives you Enlightened Protection. You can cast Protection from Evil and Good with this trait, targeting only yourself and requiring no material components. Once you do so, you cannot do it again until you finish a long rest, and Wisdom is your spellcasting modifier. Reject the Gods. You can't gain or lose piety to any god. This is talking about the new Piety System that I will cover in a future video. You instead gain the following traits at a character level listed in each one. Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for any spell you cast through these traits. At level 5 of the Iconoclast, you get Dispel Magic once per long rest. At level 11, you get Dispel Evil and Good for no material components once per long rest. In addition, when you cast a spell magic using your Iconoclast hero trait, you cast it as a 4th level spell instead of a 3rd level spell. And at 17th level, you gain the ability to cast Anti-Magic Field with no components, and once you do, you can only do it once per rest. When you cast a spell magic at 17th level, it becomes a 5th level spell. Here is the table for how exactly you might have been created in this way. Next up, we have inscrutable. Like a sphinx, you have a mind like a maze, impenetrable to mortal scrutiny. This might be a gift or training from an actual sphinx, the blessing or curse of a god, or an inexplicable talent. The inscrutable characteristics give you psychic shield. You have resistance to psychic damage. Sphinx's shroud, you are immune to any effect that allows other creatures to sense your emotions or read your thoughts. Insight checks made to ascertain your intentions or sincerity have disadvantage. So right away, fun fact, psychic damage is the only damage type that totem bear barbarians do not get resistance to. So this is a neat little bonus here. This is the table again. Next up, we have Lifelong Companion. Behind many heroes is another hero whose greatness comes from the support and love they offer. You gain the Boon Aura. Your allies within 5 feet of you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed, provided you are not incapacitated. And Companion's Protection. When a creature you can see within 5 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to cause the attack to hit you instead. Once you use this trait, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. So tank for your allies. Only one time per long rest. That's kind of unfortunate. This seems a bit weak. This is probably the weakest one so far, in my opinion. More tables on how you were created. Next up, there are the Nyxborn. Born from the minds of the gods, these creatures that populate the gods' realms are called Nyxborn. More lore here. You gain the Cloak of Stars trait. As an action, you wrap yourself in a starry cloak appearing like a silhouette formed in the night sky. When you do so, attack rolls have disadvantage against you. This cloak lasts for 1 minute until you doff it, no action required, or until you die, and you can only do this once per long rest. So every single attack roll has disadvantage on you for 1 minute, very nice, and you also get resistance to necrotic and radiant damage. The Cloak of Stars ability alone makes this good. The resistances is nice, but this is definitely the star of this supernatural gift. There are actually 2 different tables here, one for your origins and one for your quirks. My hair moves as if in a perpetual breeze. Next up, we have the Oracle. You possess a precious gift coveted not just by mortals, but by the gods themselves, the gift of clear communication between the mortal and the divine realms. You get quite a lot here. You gain the following traits. Ears of the Oracle. You can speak, read, and write Celestial, the language of the gods. In addition, a god might deliver a message through you, and you can decide whether to use your own voice or to allow a god's voice to come through your mouth to deliver the message, translated in any language you speak. You also get Oracle's Insight. The gods give you flashes of insight to help you bring your efforts to fruition. When you make a ability check, you can roll a d10 and add the number to the check. You can wait until after you roll the d20 before deciding to add the d10, but must decide before whether knowing if it succeeds or fails, and can only do this once per short or long rest. Short rest, very nice there. You also get Oracle's Piety. Your Oracle abilities improve as your Piety score increases. Instead of gaining the Piety benefits associated with any god as described in Chapter 2, you gain the following benefits. You know what I'm going to do? We're going to go talk about the Piety system right now, because there are too many other chapters related to the Piety system, so we're just going to go over this right now. Let's do it. Piety, being a god's champion, carries no benefits in and of itself. Each god's description in this chapter paints a picture of the god's typical champion, including ideas for how the player character might end up in that position, and provides ideals that represent the god's interests. The gods do reward the devotion of their champions, though. The strength of your devotion to your god is measured by your Piety score. As you increase the score, you gain blessings from your god. Piety has nothing to do with faith or belief, except insofar as a person's thoughts and ideals drive them to action in the god's service. Your Piety score reflects the actions you've taken in your god's service, actions that the god richly rewards. When you choose a god to worship as a beginning character, your Piety score becomes 1. Your Piety score increases by 1 when you do something to advance the god's interests or behave in accordance with their ideals. So basically, it is entirely up to your DM on how fast or slow you earn these Piety points. The gods expect great deeds from their champions, so your Piety score typically increases only when you accomplish a significant goal, such as the completion of an adventure. Again, DM's discretion. Make a significant sacrifice to your own self-interest, or otherwise when the DM sees fit. Each god's description in this chapter includes a discussion of the god's goals and ideals, which the DM can use to judge whether or not you earn an increase in your Piety score. As a general rule, you can expect to increase your Piety by 1 during most sessions, assuming that you are following your god's tenets. The DM decides the amount of any increase or decrease, but a single deed typically changes your Piety score by only 1 point in either direction unless your action is very significant. For the benefits of piety, the gods bestow favors to those who prove their devotion. When your piety score crosses certain thresholds, either 3, 10, 25, and 50, you gain a benefit detailed in the sections describing the gods' champions throughout this chapter. If your piety score exceeds and then falls below one of those thresholds, you lose the benefit you gained at a higher tier. If you choose the Oracle Supernatural gift, you gain different rewards for your piety score instead of the ones normally granted by your god, and this is described in Chapter 1. Inspiration and piety. To some extent, piety is its own reward. Behaving in accordance with your god's dictates and ideals inspires you and might enable you to succeed where you otherwise might fail. At your DM's discretion, whenever you increase your piety score, you might also gain inspiration, reflecting the improvement and the harmony between you and your god. Impiety. Not every hero chooses the life of a divine champion. Leonin in particular are known for rejecting the worship of gods. If you do not devote yourself to a god, then you don't have a piety score and gain no rewards for piety, but don't suffer any negative consequences. The Iconoclast gift, which we were just going over in the next chapter, offers a way for characters to gain similar benefits without being devoted to a god. Changing gods. If events in your character's adventure career warrant doing so, you can abandon the service of one god and go to a different one. Once you abandon a god's service, you can rarely go back without performing some act of contrition. Your DM decides whether your new god will accept you as a champion and what you might have to do to prove your commitment. When you change gods, you lose all benefits granted by your old one, including rewards for piety and other divine blessings, and your piety score resets to 1, so do this at your own risk. So basically, that is how the piety system works. There's a lot of lore here regarding the various gods you can pledge to, as well as how you would earn and lose piety in these trees. If you would like me to cover this in a future video on every single god and how to earn piety with them, leave a comment down below. I will definitely do it should you guys want to do that, but this video is about the supernatural gifts. So now that we have gone over the general guidelines for piety, let's go back to the supernatural gifts section. So now that we are back to the supernatural gift section, let's go back over the oracle traits and what you get with the piety score that we just went over. Augur. At 3 or more piety, you can cast augury as a ritual with this trait. Once you do so, you can't cast it again in this way until you finish a long rest. Augury being listed right here. Seer. At 10 or more piety, you can cast divination as a ritual only once per long rest. Divination listed here. At 25 or more piety, you can cast Commune, listed right here, once per long rest, and you also cannot be surprised provided you are not incapacitated. And for 50 or more piety, at the maximum level of reputation with your god, you can increase your intelligence or wisdom score by 2, as well as increasing your maximum by 2, so over 20. Also, there is a nice little section here on rolling for the curse of the oracle, such as I know exactly how I'm going to die and I can't do or say anything to prevent it. It's a nice little cop-out for the DM. People who consult me for information rarely believe the answers I give them, etc., etc. Next up, we have Pious. Born with a particular connection to a deity, you have been winning favor with your god since birth. Consult the Pious Quirks table to determine how your fate might influence your personality. And additionally, you gain Pious Protection. If you fail a saving throw, you can re-roll it and must use the new roll. Once you use this trait, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You get Religious Study. You have advantage on any religion check pertaining to your chosen god. That's a little unfortunate, as there are a lot of gods in 5e, especially introduced in Theros. So this is kind of unfortunate how it only goes with your own god. And you also get Starting Piety, where you begin with 3 piety of your chosen god. So essentially 3 sessions ahead of the curve, as it said previously that you typically would get 1 piety point per session. So you can start with 3 of these. Very nice indeed. The quirk table is listed right here. Next up, we have Unscarred. Like the great hero Haktos, you are resistant to physical harm. You gain Unscarred Resilience. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d12, add your constitution modifier to the number rolled, and reduce the damage by that total, and you must finish a short or long rest before doing this again. Very nice. Flat damage reduction is almost always great, as at lower levels, it can almost completely negate a single hit that you take. So very nice overall. Here's the origins table. And that is going to do it for the supernatural gifts introduced in Mythic Odysseys of Theros. Now that I've gone over the piety system, which I did not intend to do in this video, I can definitely go over the artifacts in the next video coming out either today or tomorrow. So subscribe if you have not already done so, and keep a lookout for that video coming very soon, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think of all of the new supernatural gifts introduced. Let me know in the comments down below. I really want to hear all of your opinions. But guys, that's going to do it for me. So until next time, happy gaming.